Hello everybody, welcome back to the ZHP Garage. Hope you guys are all doing good as always, and welcome back to the 65 Nova Build. Today we're going to be doing a lot of stuff pertaining to the rear suspension. We want to get the rear suspension put in the car. We got the rear end fully rebuilt, so we're going to show you that here coming up in a second. But first, before we go into more of the car and the progress, because there's actually been quite a bit of progress between last video, which I think was wiring the engine and stuff, getting the wiring all laid out. A good amount of things done that we're going to show you later on in the video. But first I want to show you the progress thing, because I said, oh, in every video I'm going to be crossing off stuff, but I'm going to make up for it in this video because there's a lot of stuff to cross off right now. So let's look at this paper. So this is what we have on our to-do list right now. All this, I'm going to say what we did finish and what we haven't finished yet. And I wrote up another to-do list, which I'll be putting on the wall. But let me grab Sharpie. I don't have a Sharpie. Hold on. Wow, look at that, Sharpie. Power of editing. So we completed the passenger mini tub. We're going to show you that here in a little bit. So I'm going to cross off passenger mini tub, but we did not complete the block off plate yet. So that's going to stay. We haven't touched the tunnel yet. We shortened the rear end since we just rebuilt it. So we shortened the rear end and we also rebuilt the rear end. Bam. We haven't done anything with the fuel tank yet. We're going to be putting the rear suspension. We're not going to be fully putting it together in this video, but we're going to be, starting it, putting the rear end in there and mocking up the rear suspension, the brackets, the brackets that go on the rear suspension and other stuff like that. Once the rear end is in the car, then we can start running the brake lines. So we're going to be knocking out a lot of things here, like ba-bam, ba-bam, here pretty soon, at least we hope. We wired the engine, so I'm going to cross off wire the engine. We just need to wire the rest of the car, and that's pretty much all that we've done. Oh, we started mounting the battery. I'm just going to say that we mounted the battery because it's pretty much mounted. We'll show you here in a minute. So let me get this list off the wall and put the new one up. All right, here's the new list. I got to put up on the wall. So the reason I wanted to rewrite the list is because there's a couple things on the old list that I didn't have that are on this list now, like fab the exhaust. I didn't have that because we just have it off the headers right now. We still need to make it from the headers all the way back over the rear end. Paint the underside of the car, the package tray panel on the top. So there's a couple things here that weren't on the old one. And then I made a mistake here. I put lube the front end twice, so ignore this. So yeah, that's about it. I don't think we're gonna be crossing off anything at the end of the video, but I think we crossed off plenty enough in the beginning of the video just now to make up for all the times that we didn't cross off anything. So, okay, so now that we got all of that out of the way and dealt with, we're gonna get with the master mechanic and he's gonna show us the rear end first, and then we're just gonna go from there. We're gonna put the rear end up in the car. We're gonna see where the brackets need to be for the rear suspension, and we'll get them started, get them welded onto the rear end, and show you the rest of our progress. So make sure to go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you enjoy the video. Share a comment with us down in the share a comment with us down in the share a comment with us down below. We always like to read everybody's comments. Let us know what you think of the progress on the build. Even though it's slow coming, it's still progress no matter what. So let's get started right now.
What's going on, fellow followers? We're back here with the 67, back here with the 65. We got the rear end, we got it cut down, got the axles shortened, we narrowed the housing. We took 1 inch and 7/8 off each side, so almost 4 inches overall. So it's definitely short. It's a cute little guy. We got the brackets on here for the rear TCI torque link, rear suspension. We're gonna get it mocked up into the car. We'll get the pinion angle where we want it, at right height and then centered and everything, and then we're going to go ahead and weld. We'll tack it in the car, the brackets, and then we'll take it out. We'll finish welding it, and then we're going to paint it, but we're going to finish it up first. We got the Auburn posi in it, got the Richmond gears. We went with the 308 because of the tire size, because the Nova you can't really do a tall tire, so the tire's like a 20, I think it's a hair under 26. It's a shorter tire, so we went with taller gears so we can actually drive this thing without it revving to the moon down the freeway. It's a 3 Series carrier and just a stock pinion yoke. It's got the small U-joints on this one. The whole rear end's kind of small, but it's not like it's gonna dead hook. It's not a drag car. It's gonna be all rolling momentum, so it's not gonna be strenuous on the rear end. And we welded the axles, the axle tubes here. Give it some strength and to keep it from seeping out. And you can see it's still not 100% clean yet. We got to clean it up a little bit more. And then we're in the middle of finishing it up. We're gonna put the cover on it. We got the torque link. So this goes on first. We've got some studs. Line everything up. So bracket goes on, and then the rear end using the stock cover, got it cleaned up here. So we're gonna get that on there. We're gonna get the brakes on it. We're gonna put the calipers on to see because it comes with some shims, different thicknesses. So you kind of gotta adjust the bracket to center up the caliper as much as possible. And these are just a single piston. It's like a GM, just a single GM style caliper. Obviously we got the park and brake because we're a manual. Need a park and brake. But it's a full floater, but you still want to get it close. You don't want to have it way off center. So this guy's going to mount on here like so. We're going to finish up the cover, then we're going to get the rotors on here. We'll put the wheels on it, get it centered, get it all dialed up, man. So hang on, let's do it. Let's check it out. So we got the cover and the little torque link bracket in here. Fits really tight, really snug on the studs here. Needed to give a little tap down. It's got a lot of torsion on this rear cover, so it's going to be a tight beast. We're going to put the rotor on, and we're just going to use one of the lug nuts to hold it from doing that. So we're just going to put one on here to keep it from falling off. Pretty sure we got to use a shim. If not, these bolts by themselves are too long to come with the brackets, but we'll see. We'll throw this rotor up here. So you see on these calipers, they help you out. Oh, come here. A little L. Got a little R for right and left. Because you always want the bleeder to the top. So this is the passenger side, the right side. It's going to go on like this. So you get the brake line to the bottom, and the bleeders to the top. So they come loaded. Got a little shipping pad in here that keeps everything from falling apart. All right, so what I'm going to do is, this setup here, we don't need to use a shim to shim it in because it's already good. So we pretty much don't need any shims, but without any of the spacers, the shims, my bolt's too long. So I'm gonna put one of these on the inside just to take up the space so I can put a bolt in it. I could use the bolts that came with it because I don't have, because without any spacers in here, any of these shim spacers, I run out of threads. So I'm just gonna use this just so I can use the bolts that come with the hardware, just so we can go to the next step. We can mock it up and get the brackets and everything welded on it. So I'm just gonna put one on the inside, not to shim it, just to take up the length for the bolts.
Before we show the rear end underneath the car, I wanted to say that I think in the last video I said we were going to be bumping this thing over just so you can hear it, go wom, 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 wom. And I wanted to say that we're not going to be doing that in this video, so it was a little misleading, but we're going to wait till a little bit later to do that because we want to just focus more on the rear suspension and getting this thing on the ground before worrying about that. That's going to be later on after we get more of the wiring finished and get the back of the car done and the exhaust, other stuff like that finished. So just a little tidbit there.
So here's a little overview of the rear suspension. So that big thick piece that we put in between the rear end cover and the housing, that's what this goes to. So the lower part goes to lower the torque link, and then these upper go to the upper part on that cover. So this you can adjust your preload, and then when you get on it, all your pinion twist, the torque is going to go into this, and it's kind of like an absorber. It's kind of like a shock. And you can adjust the preload of how hard it hits, so how much it's going to push on the car or it's going to absorb some of it. So this threads into the end here on the torque link, and then it bolts to this cross member, which goes behind the training cross member that's in the car, which they both bolt to the subframe connectors, which are already in the car. So then this is the mount, the upper shock mount and panhard mount that needs to be installed. This is how it's installed into the car. So this will go up underneath the car like so. Here's where your upper coilover bolts to, right here in the car. This is for the optional, if you want to do a sway bar in the rear. And then this one here is where this, the panhard bracket bolts on this side, and then the panhard is going to come across, and you can adjust depending on your ride height. You have some adjustments, because you want to have this as straight as possible. The more angle you have on it, if the rear end moves, it's going to move your rear end side to side. So you want to get this as level as possible when it's in the car. So that's why you have your adjustments here depending on your ride height. So this gets bolted on here, panhard gets bolted there, and then this one gets welded to the rear end, and that's the other side of your panhard. The rear suspension in a nutshell. We showed it before, but kind of comes together a little bit more with the rear end. You can see it's on the cover, and then all the parts. Wanted to show you guys the trunk here. What we got going on. We got it cleaned up. Still needs some more work done to it, but you can see we got Got both the tubs. This one's a little bit different because it has the filler. I don't know if we showed it before, but this one comes back a little bit more because the fuel tank filler comes through here. And we moved the battery. Originally we were planning on putting it over here in the corner, but then I decided to move it up here behind the back seat just to give more trunk area. So I'm almost done with that. I got to cut this here I'm going to use for the hold down. I'm going to go across. You see I got my 3/8 all threads. I'm going to put a little cover over that to make it look prettier. A little stainless fuel line. Once I have to take this back out because we got to paint. We're going to sand this down, clean it up, and probably spackle paint the whole trunk so it all looks original. Numbers matching, mini tub. You know how it rolls. I don't know what I'm going to do yet exactly because you see when I put the block off plate on here and when it comes down, it's going to have like this void in the center here. So I don't know if I'm just going to have it come down and go to the floor, and then I'll use the caulking and do the body. Same caulking that I'm going to use on these joints here. Seal that back up. So that's one thing. One reason why I haven't done it yet, because I haven't decided how I'm going to have it come down. It's kind of weird in these trunks because there's a void where stuff can fall in here from the factory because this is all back seat, so stuff can just fall in. So it's a little interesting. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with that yet. So let me show you that rear end now. Check this thing out. Got it all centered up just by eye. We got to put some tape measures on it and make sure it's all straight before we weld anything. But it fits good. You see we got a 295 3018 on here. Got plenty of room on both sides. We got to adjust these lower arms because you see this bracket's supposed to be straight. We got to lengthen this lower ones because the strut goes to the back, or the coilover goes to the back. And then there's a bracket up top here that we haven't put in yet that it goes to, and they go a little bit of an angle. The coilovers go right here on this bracket. This way it's got to be level. Panhard bar bracket goes on here. I'm not sure which side it goes on. I think it goes on the outside. I got to double check on the instructions, but I think it goes on the outside of the bracket because the inside would be in the way of this coil over. Before we weld the rear end brackets on here, we're gonna double check the pinion angle to make sure we have it right. We just got about eye right now, so we're gonna adjust that before we weld the brackets here. See, we got these little brackets here on the unibody on the frame here, which I don't even know why they're here because the leaf spring's over here, factory, but where those lower arms are now, obviously it's gonna affect our travel. So we're gonna cut that off of the frame, off the unibody there, and get more room so we have more travel. You can see this is where we have the setup for, this is where the ride height's going to be. So the wheel is even with the bottom of the quarter panel here. This is where we want the car to sit. So this is where we're setting it up for. It's going to be pretty low. It's going to look pretty mean.
All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm here looking at my list, and I noticed the top 3 things that we got to get done, man, is the rear suspension, finish the wiring in the car, and the tunnel. I have to look at the thing in order to know what I'm talking about. Those are the 3 things we're gonna gun for really hard to try and get done. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said, if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button down below, hit the like button, share it around, and leave a comment, man. All right, everybody, have a good one.